I got married at 22. Not for love, not by choice, for business. My name is Evan Parker, and the man I was forced to marry didn't even look at me during the ceremony. Lucas Hayes, cold, composed, dangerously quiet, the kind of man who speaks once and people listen. Our families made the deal, his company, my father's investments, a perfect arrangement except for one thing. No one asked us. The wedding was fast, too fast. Before I could even process it, I was standing next to him, holding a ring, looking at someone I didn't know. "Put it on," someone whispered. So I did. He didn't hesitate, didn't smile, didn't react, just did it, like signing a contract. And just like that, I was married. That night, we ended up in the same room. Silence, heavy, awkward. I finally broke it. "So, what now?" He took off his watch, placed it on the table. "You take the bed?" I blinked. "What?" "I'll take the couch." "That's not necessary." "It is." He finally looked at me, sharp, direct. "This marriage is for appearances." A pause. "Nothing more." That hit. "So you're just going to ignore me?" "Yes." "Great," I laughed. "Best marriage ever." He didn't react, just turned away. And that's when I realized this wasn't just cold. This was distance. Intentional distance. Days passed. We barely spoke. Public, perfect couple, private, strangers. Until one night, everything changed. We were at a formal event, crowded, important people everywhere, and suddenly someone grabbed my arm. Too tight. "Smile," the man whispered. I tried to pull away. He didn't let go. Then another hand stepped in. Firm. Controlled. "Lucas." He pulled me back, without a word, his arm around me, possessive. "Let go," he said quietly. The man hesitated, then did, because something in Lucas's voice wasn't a request. It was a warning. I looked at him, confused. "Thought this was just for appearances," I said under my breath. He didn't look at me, but his grip tightened slightly. "It is," a pause. "But that doesn't mean I let people touch what's mine." That word hit, mine. And suddenly, this didn't feel like a contract anymore. Because that night, he didn't sleep on the couch. He didn't sleep on the couch. That was the first thing I noticed. When I walked into the room, he was already there, sitting on the edge of the bed, like he'd been waiting. "This is temporary," he said. I crossed my arms. "Everything about this is temporary." His jaw tightened slightly. "Then this shouldn't be a problem," I exhaled. "Just don't make it weird." "I won't." Yeah, that was a lie. Because the moment I got into bed, everything felt different, too close. Even with space between us, I could feel him there, aware of every movement, of every breath. "Stop moving." "I'm not moving." "You are." I turned my head. "You're the one making it weird." Silence. Then, "Go to sleep." Easy for him to say. Minutes passed. Then an hour. I couldn't sleep. Not with him this close. Not with everything still running through my head. "You're awake." I froze. "How do you know?" "You keep shifting." I rolled my eyes. "Maybe I just don't sleep next to strangers." A pause, then, quietly, "You're not a stranger." That caught me off guard. Could have fooled me. Silence again. Then, unexpectedly, "I know more about you than you think." I turned toward him slightly. "Yeah? Like what?" Another pause. "You hate being controlled." That was accurate. "You act like you don't care about anything." Also true. "But you do." My chest tightened. "Don't pretend you know me," I said quickly. "I'm not pretending." His voice dropped. "I've been watching you for weeks." That made me sit up. "What?" "Before the wedding," he clarified. I stared at him. "Why?" He didn't answer immediately. Then, "Because I had to decide if this would work." "Work?" I repeated. "Yes. For business." That word again, cold, safe. But something about this didn't feel safe. Then what did you decide? I asked. Silence. Longer this time, then. That you're a problem, I scoffed. Wow! Glad I made a good impression. He turned slightly toward me, and for the first time, his voice changed. You're a problem. A pause. Because I don't treat you like I should. My heart started racing. What does that mean? He didn't answer directly, just looked at me. Too long. Then, quietly, it means I keep forgetting this is just a contract. Everything went still, because that wasn't supposed to happen. Not for him. Not for someone like him. Then stop, I said. Silence. I can't. That hit harder than anything else, because now this wasn't one-sided anymore, and that made it dangerous. I leaned back slowly. Then we're both in trouble. A small pause. Then, for the first time, he didn't disagree. And the next morning, he introduced me to someone who wasn't supposed to exist. I stopped asking questions, not because I trusted him, but because I knew he wouldn't answer. Still, I couldn't shake the feeling that something bigger was coming, and I was right. It happened 2 nights later, after a show. Crowd was normal. Security was tight. Everything felt controlled until it wasn't. A loud crack. People screamed. Chaos. Adrian was at my side instantly. Move! His voice wasn't calm anymore. It was sharp, urgent. He pulled me backstage, fast. Too fast. What's happening? I asked. Not now. That tone again. We reached the exit, but someone was already there, blocking it. Gun. Everything froze. For a second, no one moved. Then, Adrian stepped in front of me, shielding me completely. Stay behind me. My heart was pounding. Adrian, don't! One word, enough to shut me up. The man raised the gun, and then everything happened at once. Adrian moved. Fast, precise. A shot rang out, but not from the attacker, from him. The man dropped. Silence. Heavy. I stared at him. You had a gun? Of course he did. But this wasn't just security anymore. This was something else. Who are you? I asked. He didn't answer. At least, not right away. Then, he turned to me. And for the first time, there was no control left. Noah, listen carefully. That was new. He never used my name like that. You weren't the target. My chest tightened. Then who was? Silence. Then, someone connected to you. That's what you said before. Yes. Stop speaking in riddles. A pause. Then, finally, I'm not just your bodyguard. Everything stopped. I'm undercover. That hit. Undercover? For what? A federal case. My mind went blank. Then me? You were part of it. That felt like a punch. So this whole time, I was assigned to you. Silence. Because that meant everything was planned. Was any of it real? I asked quietly. He didn't answer immediately, and that delay hurt more than anything. Then he stepped closer, more than it should have been. My heart started racing again. That's not an answer. It's the truth. Silence. I was supposed to keep distance, he continued, but I didn't. Why? One word, that's all it took. He looked at me like he wasn't hiding anything anymore. Because I chose you. That hit harder than everything else. Over what? My orders. Silence. Because now, this wasn't just complicated. This was dangerous. You're serious? I asked. Yes. And what happens now? A pause. Then, quietly, I walk away. My chest tightened. Or I stay. And nothing stays simple. That was the choice. Clear. Real. I stepped closer. This time, on purpose. When has anything about this been simple? A small breath escaped him. Then, for the first time, he let his guard drop completely. Then don't expect me to treat you like just a client anymore. I smirked slightly. Good, because I wasn't just his client anymore, and we both knew it.